The handsome guy just grabbed a broken bowl, and the next second, the man stripped off his clothes and stabbed him in from behind. He took a big mouthful of 82-year-old phlegm, and the taste immediately hit him. And after Xiao Hua fought with the man for 300 rounds, the thick bump on his back magically disappeared. A few days ago, she was just a hunchback loser. She had been bullied by other people in the circus since she was a child because of her physical disability. She never felt the care of others until the appearance of a man completely changed her. On this day, the circus was performing like a wild leader. The hunchback man could still only look up to his goddess. Suddenly, the goddess made a mistake and fell from a height of 100 meters. In an instant, two people rushed towards the goddess at the same time. The hunchbacked man studied medicine in his free time and could tell at a glance that the goddess was unable to breathe due to a broken collarbone and dragged shoulders. Victor on the side said there was no way to save her without professional equipment, and it was too late to go to the hospital. The strong man borrowed a pocket watch and put it under the goddess's shoulder. With Victor's cooperation, he pushed hard, and unexpectedly, the goddess returned to the frozen state. Victor was shocked on the spot. He was definitely a rare jazz medical genius. He felt that the hunchbacked man with such a high medical talent was overqualified to stay here. But the circus owner didn't think so. He saw someone discovering the hunchbacked man's talent. He directly burned all his notes and books and then locked him in a cage to prevent him from escaping. After a while, Victor appeared and looked at the torn books on the ground. This medical genius was bound to be snatched away. Then he opened the cage. This scene happened to be seen by the circus owner, who rushed out to catch the two of them. The beating was satisfying, but it also made them hunted by the circus. When Victor saw this, he directly set their tent on fire. A strong man with a throwing knife chased after them. Another thin man appeared and blocked the way with a spray gun. Victor had an idea and picked up the oil lamp to turn up the brightness. The strong man threw a flying knife at the image and hit the thin man. Then the two of them mistakenly entered the racecourse. Fortunately, the hunchback man was very familiar with this place. The two finally escaped through the sewer. The hunchback man came to the world outside the circus for the first time. From this moment on, his destiny will undergo earth-shaking changes, and he returns to Victor's residence. Without saying a word, Victor took out the medical equipment and walked towards the hunchback man, without saying a word, and inserted the huge needle into his back. The hunchback man was hunchbacked because he had a huge pustule on his spine that had not been treated for 20 years, causing him to bend over all the time. Victor first sucked out his thick fluid, and then relied on the siphon effect to drain all the thick fluid from his body. The simple part was completed. Suddenly, Victor pushed his hunchback against the pillar, forcibly broke his spine that had been bent for 20 years, and directly inserted the bone-correcting back clip through his body. After doing all this, Victor told him that he could stay in the room as he pleased, and that he would call him Igor from now on. Igor came to the bedroom and washed away 20 years of dirt, and picked up half a lifetime of humiliation. The next morning, Victor left him a note and told him to come back for dinner in the evening. He also prepared a set of clothes and some gold coins for him to change into. Igor completely transformed into a handsome boy. Then he took out a map and found the location of the hospital where the goddess was, preparing to visit him. The police detective on the other side received a report from the circus leader saying that two people robbed his things and killed one person. A police detective who has solved countless cases didn't believe it. He deduced the truth of the case in just a few minutes. He knew that the clown had been oppressed for a long time, until a person who couldn't stand it appeared. He left. Because the circus people were chasing them, the two of them killed someone in self-defense at most. Then he saw Igor's portrait in the room. His intuition told him that these two people were not simple, so he ordered his subordinates to post wanted notices for the two of them. Recently, there have been cases of animal organ theft. The police detective suspected that it was related to Victor, who rescued the hunchback man. At the same time, Igor came to the hospital, and the goddess Luo Lai was still in a coma. He found that Luo Lai's physical condition was not optimistic, and then told the nurse what medicine should be given to him. He also gave the nurse a gold coin to ask him to take good care of Luo Lai, and left the hospital. On the way back, he suddenly saw the wanted poster on the wall. Igor, who had just gained a new life, was instantly broken. When he got home, he fearfully told Victor that the two were wanted, but Victor said that he was used to it, and that Igor was no longer the hunchbacked man he used to be. Now he has changed his appearance, and no one can catch him at all. During dinner, Igor asked him why he wanted to save him. Victor excitedly said that he discovered Igor's talent. He was a perfect medical genius. Then he took him to a laboratory and showed him his results. He saw a pair of eyes in the glass jar. Victor introduced his theory to him. He believed that death, like life, was only temporary. He had a way to convert pure electrical energy into a biopower plant to resurrect the dead. Igor was a little scared at first, but when Victor said he had mastered the conversion method, he also became extremely excited. As Victor turned the machine, the electric energy was transmitted to the eyes through the conductive gel. Did you see it? Igor was extremely excited when he saw this scene. Then he pointed out that Victor had connected the oculomotor nerves of his eyes in the wrong way, so they opened in different sizes and directions. Victor was stunned when he heard this. He had indeed seen the right person. Igor was a genius like no other. Then Victor formally invited him to participate in the experiment as an assistant. As long as he was willing, the entire laboratory equipment and books were his. Hearing this, Igor happily accepted. The following days, the two kept transporting various animal organs to the basement. It turned out that Victor was the one who stole the animal organs. He needed these organs. Experimenting with artificial life, Igor continued to optimize the nervous systems of these organs. The two conducted experiments day and night. Soon these organs came to life. Victor's goal was actually to resurrect an important person. That night, Victor received an invitation to a dinner party. He decided to take Igor to relax. Unexpectedly, Igor saw the goddess Luo Lai here. He wanted to go find Luo Lai, but he always felt that he should not disturb the other person's current life until Luo Lai found Igor. Luo Lai didn't dare to recognize him at first. He couldn't believe that the hunchback man at that time had now become a handsome young man full of energy. He looked at him for confirmation. Luo Lai hugged Igor directly and thanked him for saving his life. Then he told Igor that he was now the partner of a rich man on his name chain, but in fact the rich man was a homosexual and spent all day with men. Hearing this, Igor looked relaxed. Then Victor saw the two of them walking over. He introduced his and Igor's experiments to Luo Lai, but Luo Lai said that this was against the laws of nature. After hearing this, Victor immediately fell in love with her. On the way back, he told Igor to stay away from this woman. It will only affect your progress. But Igor said that the woman has always been very good to him. After hearing this, Victor didn't say much and directly took Igor to see the research results of the two. They came to a more secret basement and saw a strange animal structure diagram. A creature suddenly appeared on the experimental table next to it. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be the ultimate suture monster. All their previous research results, they were all sewn onto this monster. Looking at the outrageous scene in front of him, Igor felt a chill in his heart and was a little scared. Could it be that what Luo Lai said was right? But as Victor turned on the power, Igor was shocked again by the scene in front of him. He saw the monster's various organs started to function and then opened its eyes. The two competed to create a new life out of thin air. Igor was completely shocked. This was no different from the creator. Then Victor said that he would take him to the academy tomorrow to show the research results to the rich man as a partner, hoping to get the attention of a rich man. And Luo Lai also received Igor's invitation. Soon in the evening, the two began to show their results. There were not many people present, but they were all very wealthy people. They just liked to spend money to find some excitement. After a complicated opening and the urging of the rich man, Victor finally started his own experiment. As Igor turned on the power, Victor connected the plug to the experimental subject, but only a bunch of flies exploded out, which scared most of the audience away. Victor quickly asked Igor to increase the pet. This time there was no success either. The rich people on the scene lost their patience. Only Luo Lai and a rich second generation were still watching. Victor decided to attack with all his strength. He directly asked Igor to adjust the current to the maximum. Under the cynicism of the rich second generation, Igor pulled the switch and a huge current poured directly into the monster's body. The extra current even blew Victor 5 meters away. The rich second generation strong man laughed out loud, but after a while he was shocked that the pile of rotten meat in front of him actually moved. Victor triumphantly went over to check his masterpiece. Unexpectedly, the monster was quite strong. He broke free from the belt that bound him and stared at Luo Lai in front of him. Seeing that Luo Lai was in danger, Igor threw the oil lamp and ran away from the monster. Then, after Victor's reminder, he chased after him. When I came to a corridor, I didn't expect that the monster seemed to have no independent consciousness and only relied on the instinct of attack to directly attack Igor. Igor was dragged under the stairs and almost fell. Fortunately, Victor arrived in time and pulled him up, and then reluctantly used a fire extinguisher. After ending the life of the monster, they did not expect that the monster would lose control and attack humans. The two had a big quarrel. Then the rich second generation came over to stop the two, and then told Victor that he was interested in this perverted technology. His family is one of the top nobles in the country. He is willing to pay for the research of the two of them and asked him if he can create another one. Victor said that not only can he create another one, but this time he can also create a living person. When Igor heard this, he was confused and things were developing in an uncontrollable direction. He wanted to stop Victor from continuing, but Victor changed his usual good-natured appearance and warned Igor not to destroy his investment. In this way, the rich second generation invested in this evil plan. Victor's crazy experiments were all aimed at resurrecting a person. On the early morning of the 4th, the police detective came to Victor's house to visit Igor. He received them and said that Victor was inconvenient now, but the police detective asked him directly if he missed the circus life. This frightened Igor. He didn't want to go back and had to call Victor to confront them. Fortunately, the detective didn't have a search warrant and could only leave here temporarily. Then Igor went to see Lorelei and reminded him that he must stop Victor's experiment. Igor listened, and Victor was his savior and friend, so he was ready to dissuade Victor from giving up the experiment. Unexpectedly, Victor's father came here. He learned that he had violated many classes and skipped classes all day, and now the school was going to expel him. Moreover, his father looked down upon his research and thought it was all evil, so he slapped him hard. Then he left without looking back. Igor looked at the lonely Victor without saying anything, and finally decided to help him create this life. He looked at the design drawings on the ground and pointed out that the previous monster's body was too weak to maintain such a large amount of energy, so they had to create a larger body, and such a large body required a huge amount of energy to activate. But it's still the same problem. Even a large body can't withstand the high energy of lightning. Igor thought of a way. They can design 2 hearts for this new human being, and even double other organs if necessary. After all, this is the human being they created. They can design it however they want. Then the 2 of them revised the design drawings while drinking, and quickly completed the drawings of this new human being. Victor was going to start a new experiment at night, but Igor said that he was going to the dance with Luo Lai. Although Victor was speechless, he still said that this was the rest he deserved, and just like that, Victor started the experiment alone, and Igor and Luo Lai got married. The next day when Igor came home, he suddenly found that the door was full of police detectives. Although they did not get a search warrant, they still forcibly searched Victor's home. Igor quickly entered the room from the back door and hurriedly asked Victor to escape. Victor saw him and only came back now, blaming him for only knowing about courtship and leaving him alone to conduct experiments. Now he must overload the instrument to prevent the research results from falling into the hands of the police. Then he asked Igor to quickly open the secret passage in a house. Igor accidentally opened a freezer and a frozen, eyeless corpse popped out. It shocked him. Victor said it was his photographer friend. Because he died unexpectedly, he didn't want to waste experimental materials, so he dug out his eyes and froze them. Suddenly, the agents followed in from the back door and wanted to capture Victor, the madman. Victor mocked him for not knowing the taste of death, but the detective said that his wife died of cancer and he knew very well the pain caused by death. Victor also wanted to bribe the detective with the idea of resurrecting his wife, but he did not expect that the other party was a devout believer. Unwilling to accept the force that violates the laws of nature, Victor suddenly pushed him against the pillar and directly inserted the detective's hand into the equipment on the side. This was probably a disaster for the 2 of them, and they quickly escaped from the secret passage. Then they came to the residence of the rich second generation. The rich second generation learned that they had injured the policeman and did not panic. He arranged them to a castle in the countryside to continue the experiment. However, Igor felt reluctant to give up after experiencing this incident. In the end, he told Victor to terminate the cooperation and persuaded Victor to give up the crazy experiment. But Victor had persisted for so long and was about to achieve something. How could he give up? He directly got on the carriage to the castle. The rich second generation saw that Igor was not ready to continue working for him, and that he knew too much and planned to kill him. Because he only wanted his family to master this technology and did not want others to know the existence of this technology. So he asked his men to tie him up and throw him into the river. But the rich second generation did not know that he had worked in the circus. The escape skills he had learned allowed Igor to survive. Then he hid in Rolega for several weeks. One day, he looked at Victor's drop pocket watch and found a name written on it, which was Henry. This reminded him of the story Victor told him one day. When he was 10 years old, he sneaked out of the house with his brother and wanted to go out to play in the snow. He was very happy at first until he encountered a snowstorm. When the sun rose the next day, he survived, but his brother stayed in the snowstorm forever. From then on, Victor no longer believed in God and concentrated on studying resurrection technology. He wanted to resurrect his brother. He thought that he was a clown. It was Victor who changed his life. He still decided to go to Victor and tell him that the rich second generation was going to silence him after the experiment was successful. Luo Lai quickly stopped him, but seeing that Igor was determined, he also decided to go to the castle with Igor. When the 2 arrived in the countryside in a carriage, they found that the road here had been blocked by the rich second generation. Luo Lai pretended to ask for directions to attract the attention of the guards. Igor took the opportunity to run towards the castle from the other side, but at this time, the suspension bridge leading to the castle had been raised in advance. He had no choice but to climb up from the cliff on the side. When he finally climbed up the cliff, the sky was already filled with dark clouds and a thunderstorm was coming. Victor was making final adjustments in the castle. The wires have all been connected to the monster. Everything is ready, just waiting for the lightning to fall. Everyone is working nervously at their post. The rich second generation also came here to watch this historic scene. If the experiment is successful, he will live forever. At this time, Victor went to the bathroom and Igor avoided the crowd and followed him. Then he quickly told Victor that the rich second generation would kill him, but Victor said that he didn't care about those brothers who lost their lives to save him when he was a child. Now all he has to do is give his life back to his brother. So he had to complete this experiment no matter what. At this time, People outside reminded that lightning was coming soon. Victor quickly returned to the experimental site. At this time, the lightning and thunder in the sky could trigger thunder. Victor ordered everyone to lift the experimental body into the air, and all positions were ready. Then several metal hot air balloons rose into the sky with wires, and soon they reached the location where the thunder was triggered. Everything was ready. Victor raised the experimental subject to the highest level. As lightning kept hitting the balloon, the power reserve had reached the experimental requirements. Victor hurriedly asked everyone to turn on all the relays. The coils were linked to each other, and the experimental subject was circled in a circle. In the eyes of everyone, the weirdo gradually started to take action. When Victor saw this, he showed a satisfied smile. Suddenly, repeated lightning strikes blew up the equipment under the hot air balloon. Various explosions occurred, and the castle fell into chaos. The experimental platform also collapsed in the explosion. The rich second generation fell directly into the hot furnace. He secretly hated the Northwest, and soon fell into silence. The police detective who was unwilling to give up also found this place. He looked confused at everything in front of him and angrily rebuked Victor for his devilish behavior. But Victor retorted that there was no God and no devil here, only him. Victor suddenly felt something and looked at the cage in the air. I saw that the cage was empty and a person stood up on the opposite side. He was the famous Frankenstein detective. When he saw this scene, he was so frightened that he quickly took out his gun and pointed it at the weirdo Victor. His face was filled with happiness. He walked over and tried to wake up this so-called brother, but no matter what he said, there was no response. Only then did he realize that the person in front of him was not a new life. His empty eyes meant that he had no so-called soul. All these years of hard work were in vain. Victor collapsed. Suddenly the detective fired a shot. The alarmed monster grabbed Victor's neck and threw him out. Then he walked up to the detective. A slap slapped him against the iron cage in the middle, and then the weirdo walked towards the others and wanted to kill all living beings with souls. Victor, who had escaped, realized his mistake and was ready to end the farce with Igor. Igor threw an oil lamp at the weirdo to attract attention. Victor took the opportunity to pierce his shoulder with the shot, but he didn't seem to be afraid of the pain. Then the weirdo picked up Igor and threw it directly to the ground. Compared with humans, Victor was too weak. Victor rushed to support. This is Igor picking up the wire and directly feeding people at the electricity stall. Then he picked up the big needle on the side and penetrated his heart. The weirdo stopped moving. Suddenly Victor reminded him that he had two hearts. The next second, the weirdo came back to life and knocked Igor unconscious directly. Then he walked towards Victor. Victor raised the iron rod and pierced his other heart when the weirdo attacked. Finally, everything came to an end. When Igor woke up the next day, Victor had already left, leaving only a letter for Luo Lai to give him. Victor first admitted his mistake, and then said that Igor was now free and he would continue to study science in the second half of his life. The film ends here. The film is adapted from the novel of the same name by the famous 19th century writer Mary Shelley, which reinterprets the story from a modern perspective. Victor Frankenstein was a persistent scientist who never returned from the path of creating life. Trying to resurrect his dead brother through scientific means would undoubtedly be considered blasphemous in the context of the time. The police in the film represent traditional beliefs. This kind of science has not been realized today, but cloning technology has been around for a long time. Cloning people cannot be accepted by the world. I believe that this method cannot enter everyone's life. The film has a good punk atmosphere, and the appearance of Frankenstein at the end is also quite shocking. As old acquaintances on the screen, the acting skills of the two actors are, of course, not to mention James's portrayal of Victor's madness and obsession. And the genius mind was displayed very well. Daniel challenged the role of a clown, and of course there was no pressure. He represented the last kindness in Victor's life. In general, this work gives the best interpretation of Victor's story and is worth recommending. The video ends here. If you like my explanation, please subscribe to my channel. Your support is my greatest encouragement.